Okay, so we're going to go through the document category creation process. This is for super users. Users will not do this. And the way you get to that is through the components. You can actually type up here category, and it will show, the system will show you all of the options that have category in them. This is the one we want, the document configuration, document category. Okay, and then if we search in this area of the system, you can see that there are already these categories that have been created. So what we're going to do is create the category SOPPR, and this is going to be through cloning or copying an existing category. So we're going to take the WIPR and we're going to create a clone of it. So we're going to copy, basically, that's what it means. And we're going to replace the ID with SOPPR, SOPPR, correct? And this is SOP for production. Okay, we then save and exit. And we have ourselves a category. Okay. We've copied this now. We have to check a few things because there will be a few adjustments to make, but the vast majority of the settings will be correct. However, the identification mask of this is not correct because otherwise the document numbering that we've set up will not work. It'll come through as a work instruction, and this is a production SOP. So we need to change that in the category and search in the identification mask for SOP. I call it SOP prod. That's the name of the mask. That's not the way the mask the numbering system will be generated. Okay, so we've done that, and then the attribute. We want to check that the attribute is working, which it is. That's picking up the administration structure that we set up in the admin module. Then we have some revision. We're assuming that this is going through the standard document draft approval route for quality, for technical services. Okay, everything else is the same. Validity is the same, but we could change that if it was different. And then on the security, that should be the same. Public category, require an electronic file, and we only want one file type on this particular category. Okay, and then we save and exit, and we've got SOP PR created as a category. So to test that, we want to go and create a document using that category now to make sure that this is working. This has been the way you create a document, and the attribute is not associated with the record as not being filled out. Okay, so there's a problem there. So we have to fix that problem. So if that happens, if we get that issue, it's to do with the business unit attribute not being correct. And this is back to the identification mask on the configuration, okay? So if this ever happens, it's the identification mask that's incorrect. And what we want to go to is the identification mask that we use, which is SOP prod. And inside here, we had an old attribute that we manually created, and we've replaced that with a new attribute that uses the table in the administration section of the system. So we now want to replace that with the attribute which is called business unit ID. And you can see over here that the type of this is using SE Suite as an object. So it's looking up data within SE Suite, whereas we did originally configure that mask to have a business unit abbreviation that we typed in a list of values. We're not going to use this list of values typing anymore. We're using this SE Suite object here. So this, you only need to do this if you're a super user. If someone selects that by mistake, you know that that's the problem. Okay, and the format for this is an asterisk, which means that any character is okay. And then we save that, and now we have to change the order, because at the moment it's going to create the fixed value. It's then going to create a sequential number, and then it's going to add the business unit abbreviation. So we need to move the business unit abbreviation up to the top level, which is sequence number 1. Then we have a fixed value, and we need to change that as well. So it's SOP PR. And we save and exit. And then we have a sequential number and save and exit. And so now, when we go back to the portal and we go to document management, we create a new document, which is brand new. We select the SOP PR, and now we should get a link to the attributes. We pick Algae Farm, hit next, and this all works fine and dandy. We get the correct document. Here, we leave this date blank so that we can put it through the revision process. We hit next. That allows us to attach the document. We can change this if we want to, in terms of who needs to do what, but we're not going to. And then add the document, select a file. Group, and just want to pick a document that is let's just grab this, and then we finish, and we've created the document. Okay, so that is the document creation process. And then when we hit finish on this, I want to show you this last thing, which is there's two options once we get to the review step. One is I can just close this, and the document will then get pushed into the right queue to be revised, i.e. to be completed and put through the review and approval process. Or I can execute the revision right from here, because I've got access as a member of the technical services team. I'm eligible to, I've got the authority to revise this document. So if one is creating the document for oneself, then you can go straight in to execute the revision, and then it will take you into that base document. Okay? And we'll cover that revision in a second. But basically, that's how you create a new document. I've showed you how to just create a new category, sorry. I've showed you how to fix the error, if you ever see that error with the attribute being incorrect. And we're now in the revision, okay? So the revision tab has quite a few little things to it. We've got some configurations set up so that we have to put in a change here. And just check a second. I just want to go back to... I go back to the meeting here a second. It's going to ask me if I want to stay in the call. Trying to help me get faster. Don't want to do that. Okay, thank you. And yes, so back to this revision. Apologies for that. Sometimes it kicks me out. I can execute the revision from here, and I can complete the revision from here, adding the changes that I need and making sure the participant order sequence and the right participants are correct. I can change them here. There's a checklist here that we've added. So we need to make sure that that checklist is completed, and then we can accept the revision. Okay, I'm going to go through the revisions as separate video, or we can go into document revision using my task. So if I'm creating the document from a template, for example, or I've created the first a copy of an existing document and said I want this to be changed by somebody else, it will go into that team's task list. And in here, if I've got access to it, I will be able to revise the document. Okay. I can find in here, using these advanced filters, there are various document filters. Okay, I can search by category. I can search by ID. I can search by title and summary. This is in the revision screen and my tasks. And there we go. We have the document here. It's in draft status. So I now want to run this revision because I'm accepting that I'm responsible for doing this revision, completing it. And again, we've got to put in here what are the changes we're making. Well, in paragraph 4.3 or 4.4, we are updating complete document as it is a template. Okay, save and exit. So there's facility for telling people what you're doing when you're creating a new document or revising an existing document. It's exactly the same process. And down here we have a checklist which says, have you selected the correct category? Yes, I have. Have you checked that the validity period is correct? Yes, I have. Have you validated that the revision process sequence is correct? Yes, I have. And have you confirmed that global public access is the default? Yes. And we can put in this is a public document. Okay, if you were saying no here, then this is not a public document, and that would need to be changed in the settings on the category or on the document. So we can show you how to do that as a separate video. But we're going to say that this meets all the criteria because the vast majority of the documents will, and then we accept the revision. Obviously, if this will send this to the next step, and it will disappear. Blank this out using the paintbrush, and we can search. And I'm wondering if this is still going to appear in my list because I think I might be on the approval. Yeah, so I'm actually now one of the team members that can review this as well. Okay, so let's assume that I'm now doing a review. Now reviewing this document, and it's in status review, cycle 1. We can fill in a reason and so on, but I didn't do that. We can do plan dates on this, so there's a bit more sophistication we can get to once we've got the team working through this and creating new documents and able to revise them. We can expand that functionality if required. We've got the right participants, so now you can see that this is complete. Okay, so this was deadline was that date, the release date was this date, and it was released, and this is now approved. So this here is a status, tells me where the document is. Okay. I'm doing a review of this, so I can actually put in critique now. And I can say, this is good to go, or I can say that there are gaps, problems with document in the review, and please sort these out or address these. Okay. So if I save that, the solution it'll go back to the drafter. So I'll show you. I'll save that. Okay, and we'll exit. So now I've got a critique here, and I'm going to send it back to the drafter to change this. So I'm not happy with the revision. What I could do is I could have gone into the electronic file and download the electronic file. I can view the electronic file, but I can't edit, replace, or edit. See, I can't merge or add or edit. So I reject the revision when there are issues with it. I'll just show you what happens when I download the electronic file. I can download it from my own records here. Yep. But I can't, as a reviewer, I can't change this document. I'm just reviewing it. This is a leadership role, okay? Okay. So I'm going to say I'm going to reject that revision because it didn't quite meet my expectations. And now that will go back to my tasks, and it will move the status back to draft. And I go through the revision process again. So as a drafter of the document, I now can review the critique. And the critique is, oh, okay. So if I select that, I have to put the solution in. So the solution is, oh, apologies, this is now aligned with the ISO standard wording. I save and exit that. And obviously go to the electronic file, change the electronic file, because I can now edit this. As the drafter, I can edit this file and change it, and then I can accept the revision. I can move it to the next step. And I haven't hit the checklist. So in the general data, sorry, in the revision data, there's a checklist here I need to complete. These are all configurable as well, so we can turn these off. And then I save the document and accept the revision. I want to send it to the next step, yes. And now it's back into the review, and because I'm in the reviewing team, I can review this as well. So it just speeds up me logging in and logging out as different people. And so now I'm going to look at the critique, and I want to review the critique, and I want to look at the solution. Okay, have you changed it? Look at the electronic file, go and make sure that it's changed, and then all good to go. I can accept the revision. Send it to the next step. And now that has gone and has been released. So in the document management portal now, I can now search. I can now search for a document using these terms, or I can search using the category. But what I want to do here is I want to edit this category here. You won't need to do this in the live system. I want to see more here. all category, and I want to put in work instructions for production, and that one, and SOPR for production. These will all be done when you get into the system, but I'm just showing you how we can now search, document, search by category. We save that. And now I can search by category in here. Okay. To close the editing though. And then we have all of these documents that we can search for. So if we type in PR, it's in here. It's a PPR. Interesting. Okay, so it's not appearing in the search. So let's have a look where it is. Go to the document area. We want to select the type. And we want to select this type. Oh, it's in the issue. It hasn't been released yet, so that's why I can't find it. It's still in process. So that's how you check where things are. If they don't appear in the search, then they're obviously not released. Okay, so this went to the technical services manager, which I think is Hazel. I think Hazel's the only technical services manager. So let's log out and log in as Hazel. And log in here. Whoops, daisy. Maybe she's changed her password. Okay, but it would be there in Hazel's list, which I can't quite get into, and then she'd have to release it. And then it would be available for search. Okay, so that was a whistle-stop tour of revising documents, approving documents, reviewing documents, and creating a new category, which I'm now going to stop presenting, and I'm going to stop recording.